Hello everybody and welcome back to Evospace. As always, I am Dor, and today we're going to go ahead and set up the beginnings of the titanium line so we can go ahead and start producing that and eventually swapping out our machines. But in between episodes here, I've been running the stainless steel line and we've gotten quite a bit of it in our inventory here. We have 2,300 ingots. So what we're going to go ahead and do is make the two items that we kind of do need. So we need one of these guys. This is the induction coil that's used for the industrial smelter. And in order to make that, we need some coils and some concrete. So we have those two items already made elsewhere, so let me go grab some of those. I think those are the only two things we're going to make in stainless steel right now. Alright, and with those items in our inventory here, we can go ahead and make the industrial smelter there, and then like I was saying, I don't think we're going to make anything else in the steel area here, so we're just going to go ahead and put the rest of this back in our storage thing for right now. But while that's going ahead and crafting up here, we can go ahead and set this line down that we need, because we need the mineral water coming through now, and I'm going to place it there. I think that should be fine. But we need the mineral water coming out of here because we need to go ahead and break it down into salt, and then we need to take that salt and chemical react it into the chlorine that we need, because we need the chlorine to go ahead and be used for the breakdown of the titanium, so we can actually start using that and turning it into the ingots. So we can just have this kind of running how we have the last one set up on the oil thing over there. The main difference here being that we're not going to be going into the pyrolysis unit things. We're going to be going right into a chemical reactor, and for right now we're just going to go ahead and have this thing facing downward so we can punch a hole in the ground and plug it in like that. And then with the recipes here, we're going to go ahead and go the salt route, because if we go ahead and do the potassium one, they both give us chlorine. The only main difference here is that the salt gives us sodium and we can turn that into a block, and then same thing with the other stuff, the potassium there, we can turn it into a green block. So we really aren't going to be using the secondary output, we just need the chlorine, so we're just going to go with the salt here, and that's going to go ahead and break down and give us the stuff that we need. So we can go ahead and have a pump right here to go ahead and feed it, and then we need the salt going into an electrolyzer, so we can go ahead and do this as well here, but we'll go ahead and try and do 3. I don't know if we're going to have enough of the salt coming out of this thing to keep up with it, but if we do, that's great. If not, then no big deal. We can go ahead and have these ones like that, and then we'll just go ahead and move these guys over to go ahead and be able to get armed in from those. So with the sodium that's going to be being made in this thing, we can go ahead and just have it come out on top here, and we can go ahead and just arm it into a rack and have it backlog a little bit here, so that we can go ahead and kind of decide later if we want to go ahead and actually use it or if we want to go ahead and just destroy it. So we'll do that. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I might be able to go ahead and actually just place it right here. If I wiggle the arms around, we can just squeeze it in right here. Yeah, that should work pretty nicely there, so we don't have to have any conveyors or anything. It's just going to go ahead and store the sodium in that, and then we can go ahead and have the pumps pumping out the chlorine here. We don't need to run filters because it's only one type of liquid that's going to be coming out of this thing, and then we'll go ahead and run the aluminum piping, and then that goes into another one of these guys, so we can go ahead and turn that one upside down as well, and then we need this getting pumped into this. So that's going to go ahead and feed it the chlorine, and then we're going to have to give it the prepared titanium here to go ahead and make the titanium chloride is what we're going for here. So we will go ahead and arm that stuff in because we don't have that being made just yet, and we'll have it being made in this mixer here because that's what we need to do for it. So we'll have the titanium oxide being mixed with coke, and we'll go ahead and just arm those two items in as well. So we can just do that and plop some arms down, and that should be good there, right? I have coke being separated right now from the main line, and then the titanium oxide we can just go ahead and grab from right here because this is where it's being produced as a byproduct for our aluminum production. But then we need our titanium water coming out of this thing and going right into another one of the chemical reactors, so we can go ahead and have that one the same thing like we've been doing. And then that recipe is going to be that liquid that we're making mixed with titanium, or aluminum, not titanium, and that's going to give us the titanium sponge, and then the titanium sponge is the last little product that we need to go ahead and put into the industrial smelter, and that's going to go ahead and give us the titanium ingots so we can actually start producing stuff. So I think that's the last little step, right? And then we need the aluminum getting armed into this because we have that getting separated from our lines, and then we can go ahead and just have this storing into a chest, and that should be the entirety of the line pretty much set up right now. I need to go ahead and power everything, but in between episodes here I went ahead and added in splitters where we kind of needed them, right? So that we didn't disable our aluminum line fully. So the way it is right now, we have a splitter right where the electrolyzer's output, and then we have it split into a chest and into the line feeding the smelter. So that way we're still kind of producing some plates and parts. We're not producing a lot of them. We're producing probably like 20 every few minutes here. It's not very much, but we have it like that on both sides. We didn't bother doing that with the macerators because the macerators have so much output that it's able to keep up with the line and fill the chest up with no issue. I think we did that in a couple other places too. I think we did it over here with the iron or the steel line over here, so that we're still able to go ahead and continue making steel and separating out some iron for our stainless steel production there. And then over here on the oil line, I went ahead and added in a burn-off valve because we were backlogging on methane and we weren't producing any more hard oil, or heavy oil, not hard oil, and we weren't actually running anymore. So I had to go ahead and put that in so that thing could keep running. We aren't full on gasoline yet, but once we are, this will grind to a halt. And so we've kind of built up a little bit of the rare earth metal. I went ahead and set up like a little tiny two-step process over here to go ahead and make the little core things that we were producing with that rare earth metal stuff. So we just went ahead and plopped it right here because we need the copper parts coming in, and it's just producing these little guys, and then that's getting stored in the chest to our left, or the chest that was directly under us, and we currently almost have 4 stacks of that stuff. So we are producing that slightly slower than we could be, but we are running into a little bit of electrical issues right now because we're not producing enough power. But anyways, let me go ahead and plug this stuff in so we can actually start producing some titanium really quick, and then we'll go ahead and set up the furnaces and stuff. Okay, so we have our first little bit of the titanium stuff working its way through the line here. I'm going to go ahead and grab our aluminum for the other step there, so we actually have that stuff getting produced, and I think it's this stuff that we need, and we don't have a whole lot of it backlogged, but we do have enough of it to go ahead and at least make a couple of the ingots here, so we can go ahead and dump those into this. That should go ahead and process that stuff through, and we should have our first little titanium sponge here in just a second. So now that we have this stuff getting produced, we can go ahead and have it going into our industrial smelter here. So what we're going to go ahead and do is actually break the chest here and get our sponges out of it. And what we're going to go ahead and do is plop down the smelter right here in the little line setup. And we have 2 options on how to go about heating this. So we can either use the heat piping to go ahead and heat up the furnace here, or we can go ahead and use the induction coil here, and that just needs electricity to go ahead and heat the whole thing. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. We can just punch a hole there and run the power cable on up, and that's going to go ahead and provide the power and the heat that this thing needs to go ahead and produce the things that it needs. So we can go ahead and select the recipe that's going to be consuming the sponges here. So we have 16 ingots ready to go, and then all we need to do is have this getting armed out into a chest for right now, because, or actually we're going to go ahead and put a rack down. Let me go grab one of those from our chest over here, and there's our first couple bits of titanium ingots for us. So that's cool. We're going to have some of this stuff going. That's going to take a little while to go ahead and generate enough ingots for us to actually process anything into a useful thing for us. So I was going to go ahead and build one of these stainless steel gas turbines, but we're not actually able to build any of those right now. For some reason, they're not actually in the game. They're in the recipe screen, and they're on the show you everything tab on the inventory thing here. So they're right there, but if we go ahead and actually click on our machine tab to go ahead and craft those, they're not in our listing of things we can actually craft. So we'll just have to go ahead and make a couple of the fluid furnaces. I don't think we need very many of those, probably just 1, maybe 2 at most, because we're not going to be making that much gasoline to be burning off anyways. We're also going to go ahead and make a couple of the generators just to go ahead and help us with our power production, because we are struggling a little bit and the aluminum ones might not be able to keep up, and I don't want to spam a whole bunch of those down. So we'll just go ahead and go up to the next tier here, and then we might make some more items here. I'm not too sure. I don't think we need anything else all that much out of the stainless steel stuff here. We might make some boilers just to go ahead and swap out the aluminum ones, so these are a little more efficient to go ahead and feed our line right now. We're not really having a heat problem. We're just having the electrical issue right now because we are consuming more electricity than we're actually producing. So hopefully these 2 stainless steel generators fix that. So over here with our gasoline thing, we can go ahead and set up the furnaces near the fluid containers here so that they can feed into these guys. I don't know if I need pumps or not, so we'll just go ahead and place those there for right now and see. And we should just be able to go ahead and connect them in like that. So are these being fed? They are being fed, so we don't need a pump, so that's good news. And that's just going to go ahead and give us some extra heat down the line here, even though we don't necessarily need it, because that line and that line are both aluminum, and we're producing a bunch of heat off of that. This guy over here is still the steel era stuff. We haven't swapped that out yet. We don't have enough aluminum to be swapping things out like that. But that's going to go ahead and give us some more heat, so we can go ahead and put down some more boilers and produce some more steam to go ahead and run more turbines, to go ahead and run more generators. So it's just an endless loop of stacking right now. So here's our 2 stainless steel generators. Hopefully these can go ahead and kickstart our factory again, because we are pretty much not doing too well. And with those two running, we should hopefully start building a backlog, and we are indeed. So how much power are these guys producing? This one is producing 120. No, I was clicking on the wrong thing. It's producing 1.9 kilowatts, and it has a max capacity of 1.9 kilowatts. Okay, so this guy has a capacity of 972. So we just added basically 1,000 power production on those two right there. So we have 2,000 more than these guys were producing. So that should be good. So what I think I'll go ahead and use that stainless steel for is swapping over our power supplies. So our generators, we can go and swap those guys out. I'll probably end up swapping the turbines over to stainless steel as well as the boilers, so we can have our power stuff kind of situated in a way that we don't have to keep babying it and worrying about it, because there'll be a tier above what we're actually running up there. But anyways, we can go ahead and grab a stack. Oh, we have 2 stacks. Never mind. We'll grab 2 stacks of those circuits. We can go ahead and grab some of these guys for right now. And then we don't have a whole lot of these guys backlogged because we kind of burned through our entire supply of them because we went through the entire tech tree here. So with these guys in our inventory, we should be able to go ahead and craft these guys, which are the quantum circuits. Oh, it's a 2-to-1. So you know what? Let me grab 2 more stacks so we can go ahead and make 2 stacks of these things, and then we'll go ahead and have those craft up, and we can go ahead and research into the reactors and stuff right now. Okay, so with the reactor research, we need 200 titanium before we can actually make that thing. We need 20 of those circuits we just made, 25 of the heat pipes, and 100 of the reinforced concrete. So what we can go ahead and do is set up the reinforced concrete right now, because that's a relatively simple line to go ahead and set up. All we need is a mixer and the water connected into it with the still parts going into it, and that's going to make the reinforced concrete. So I'm going to go ahead and just take the concrete out of that thing and just manually put it into it, but we'll go ahead and set the mixer up over here where the stainless steel or the steel is being produced, so that way we can just go ahead and arm into it, and we'll have it going that away for right now. That should be fine. We need you making the reinforced concrete, please. We need the steel getting armed into it, so that should be that, and then we need our concrete and the water, so we can have the concrete coming in from back here. Boop, and we'll just go ahead and arm this into the thingy like that. We will run the water and kinetic underground here, and then we'll have the finished product going into a chest so that we can go ahead and just grab it as we need it. So there we go. We put the concrete in there. We're going to start having the reinforced concrete getting produced into that thing, so that's going to have that just running in the background. Okay, so we're going to set up something that's going to be broken down almost instantly here. So we need some of the catalyst things, right? And it tells us that we can make this in our hand, but we can't actually make it in our hand. We need to go ahead and place down an assembler to go ahead and make the thing that we need. So for right now, we'll just go ahead and plug it in there. That's no big deal. And we're going to be making the empty cells, and these things aren't going to be consumed. So we just need plates and we need parts. So let me go ahead and make a couple of those really quick. So while this thing produces the cells that we need, we're going to go ahead and make one of the constructor things, because that's a different machine, right? We only have the assemblers made right now. So we're going to make one of those, because if it's anything like the cell, we can't make that gas turbine, but we might be able to make it in that thing, because we had to go ahead and use the assembler to make the cells. So I'm kind of wondering if the constructor thing is going to allow us to go ahead and make that gas turbine or not. So we need a couple of these things, and then we should be able to go ahead and make one. We need more steel, basically, is what we need. So let me grab some more of this. We should be able to go ahead and craft that thing. So how about 4 stacks? Is that going to be enough to go ahead and make the thing? Yeah. Okay, let me make it, and then we should be able to see whether or not we can make that gas turbine or not. So we can actually make one in this machine. We just need 20 ingots to go ahead and craft it. We just can't craft it in our hand for some reason, but we can also make the smaller combustion engines. Those are relatively cheap. I'm just not sure if they're implemented in the game or not, because if we make one of these and place it down, it's just going to place an invisible block that we can't do anything with. So I don't want to waste the little bit of resources they require to make those. So we'll just go ahead and make one of the bigger ones really quick and see if we can go ahead and fuel it up. We might have been burning through our gasoline already, since we had the other one down already. So now that this one's done making these cells for us, we can go ahead and set it to go ahead and make the catalyst cells. So we just need to go ahead and flip the arm around here to go ahead and feed back into this thing. We need to go ahead and bring some coal and the gold wire from over there, so that's not a big deal. We can go ahead and just do that for right now, and we will go ahead and place down an arm there, and let's grab some gold wire and feed it into this guy. So we don't have a whole lot of coal we can put in here, but we can go ahead and put what we do have in there, and that's going to make a catalyst cell, and that should go into this chest here. We can then take that catalyst cell, and while we're here, we can go ahead and grab our generator, and with our catalyst cell, since this is not going to be used, it's just going to keep getting cycled through the machine here, we can go ahead and plop it in here, and I don't know if it's actually going to have us pull it out or not, or if it's just going to go ahead and hang out in the machine here. So we'll see that in a second. It's going to stay in there. So that's good news for us. We don't have to do anything else with it. And then with the ethylene that this thing is producing, we can go ahead and pump it back into this machine here so we can actually start producing plastic. So what we'll do is probably run it underground if we can. And with the ethylene connected now, we do have our plastic coming through. So eventually we can go ahead and have it go through an assembly unit with our golden cable that's going to make the advanced circuit boards eventually when we get around to doing that. So now we can go ahead and plug in our generator. So let's go ahead and break those guys off of there so we're not using any more gas. And then this guy is a big turbine. Okay, so this is how they look last season too. So right now we can go ahead and just place it so that we can go ahead and pump into it. And we're going to have to run a kinetic line off of this to go back into the line over there. So I think we have enough of these guys right now to go ahead and do that. And with that connected in, all we got to do is run the piping back up to go ahead and connect into our gasoline from this area here. Oh, I went a little too high with it. So let me go ahead and connect there, and we can go ahead and punch these guys back out and connect it like that, and that should go ahead and start getting some gasoline, but it's not going to run until we get 10 gasoline in here, so it's going to be sitting idle pretty much constantly here. It will turn on every now and again and give us some kinetic now instead of the heat, which I think is more important for us because we don't really need the heat. We can just go ahead and add more coke lines to get more heat when we need the heat. We don't really need to be having other things producing heat for us. So before we go ahead and wrap up today, we're going to go ahead and take our titanium here, and we're going to see if we have enough stuff to go ahead and make the reactor. We're not going to be able to power this thing for a little while because we need to go ahead and get our uranium and stuff squared away, but we should have the stuff ready to go here. So I just need to go grab our concrete and our heat pipes. So our heat pipe should be right here. That's not a big deal. And our concrete should be ready to go too. And we do have enough concrete, so we should be able to make one and one only. All right, cool. So let me plop that back in there. Let me go ahead and wait for that thing to craft up. It's going to take a few minutes here, but we should have a reactor before we call it an episode. So we finally got this thing crafted up here. We can go ahead and plop it down. This is going to go ahead and produce crazy amounts of heat for us, so we kind of can go ahead and phase out the coke lines and stuff when we do get this thing up and running. Right now we can go ahead and see the different amounts of heat that each type of fuel will go ahead and produce. I think the most basic fuel rod is this guy here, and it's only going to be producing 142 kilowatts worth of heat. And then the best thing that we have available to us looks like it's going to be this guy down here producing 2.1 million watts or 2.1 megawatts. And so that's something we can go ahead and try and work toward next episode. We're going to go ahead and probably set up the uranium line next episode. And in between episodes here, I think I'm going to go ahead and set up this circuit line because we can go ahead and do it with the advanced circuit boards. And we'll go ahead and set up the advanced circuit boards as well in between episodes because that's relatively simple. We have these two raw products being produced already. We just need those guys being mixed together in an assembler to go ahead and make the advanced circuit board. And we'll go ahead and have the advanced circuit board mixing with the quantum cores that we have being produced already to go ahead and make the quantum circuits so that we can go ahead and research some more things here to go ahead and start using some of the new stuff. So we're going to go ahead and work toward the two industrial boilers and the industrial turbine thing because those two are new, and then we'll probably end up making those guys next episode to see what their kind of output is, to see if we need to go ahead and upgrade to them or just stick with the little tiny boilers that we're using. But anyways, that's going to go ahead and be it for today's episode. So hope you guys enjoyed as always, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.